Welcome back to Fox Explainer. Today, I'm going to show you a movie from 2010 called 127 Hours. It's a survival drama based on a true story. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. The movie starts with a bunch of scenes of crowds, races, sports game audiences, and people getting on and off trains. There is music that sounds like it came from Slumdog Millionaire, and then it cuts to a scene where Aaron Ralston is trying to get everything he needs for the day. Saturday is what the screen says. Even though we can see it is just out of his reach in a cabinet, he can't find his Swiss Army knife because it is still dark outside and he is rushing around his apartment. He even looks in the cabinet, but he misses it with his hand and has to leave without it. He fills up a Camelback and an Algin bottle, grabs some energy bars, and runs out the door. Aaron gets in his car and drives through the desert while playing more really loud music and telling his camcorder that all he needs is darkness, music. He pulls up to what looks like a very small campsite, but instead of setting up a tent, he just jumps into the back of his truck and lays down to sleep. Aaron wakes up in the morning and gets on his bike. This guy is so full of energy and excitement that you can tell he loves adventure and being outside. He does wheelies and jumps over things on the road as he rides through the desert. He falls down once or twice, but he just laughs and keeps riding. He has his camcorder attached to the handlebars of his bike, and he keeps stopping to talk to it and tell people about his plans and progress. Aaron is mostly alone, with the exception of 2 or 3 scenes. He uses the camera almost as an excuse to tell us what is going on or to talk to someone while he is out. Aaron decides to ride to a place called Blue John Canyon. He rides as fast as he can, and on the way, he parks his bike and starts to climb. He is climbing for a few minutes when he hears 2 girls walking by and decides to say hi. It is Christy and Megan, and they are lost. They are looking at a map but they really can't decide where to go. Aaron says hi and tells them that he can help them. He asks them where they want to go, and they say the dome, and Aaron says he can take them there. They start to go, but Aaron says that if they are up for it, he knows a better place to climb. They think he is kind of weird but kind of cute, so they go with him. Then, there is the scene from the preview where Aaron, Megan, and Christy are climbing in a really small crevice and Aaron tells them that everything is going to be okay, and he just lets go of the wall and falls into the narrow crack. It's a pretty scary scene, but he lands in a beautiful blue pond or lake and sings to the girls to let them know he's okay. Christy jumps first, then Megan. They all have a great time jumping over and over into the water and playing on a small rock near the water. Aaron records everything, but not in a creepy way. He just wants to keep track of all the places his crazy life takes him. After what seems like an hour or 2 of playing in the water, they all get up and start walking. They all go their separate ways, but Aaron asks if he'll ever see them again. They tell him that they're having a party the next night, and that he can find it by looking for a giant inflatable Scooby-Doo outside the party. He tells me he'll be there, and then he leaves. He finds a small canyon-like thing, which he climbs into. He jumps over a branch and falls into the canyon. After a few minutes of climbing through it, he sees a big drop-off with a boulder on top of it. He kicks the boulder to make sure it is stable, and then he uses the boulder as a handhold to climb into the drop-off. As he walks in, the boulder falls toward him because he had been holding onto it. He falls about 15 feet into the canyon, taking the boulder with him. Because of how he lands, his arm gets stuck between the boulder and the canyon wall. There is a little bit of blood, but the big problem is that his hand is not going to come out. So Aaron tries to pick it up from all sides, but he can't. He tries to kick it away, but it stays in place. He pulls hard on his arm, trying to rip it off, but it doesn't work. He screams for help, but as he does, the camera pulls out of the canyon and shows how big and open the desert is and how small the crack is. He is completely alone and all by himself. He tries to think of anything he could have with him that could help, so he takes everything out of his bag and looks at it. He tries to chip away at the stone with a multi-tool that is like a Leatherman but not as good, but it doesn't work. He remembers that the multi-tool was given to him for free along with a flashlight. He drops the multi-tool in a small hole he can't reach. To get it back, he uses a stick he holds with his foot. He gets his camera out and starts to talk about what happened and how he got there. He tells whoever finds it that they can keep the camcorder as long as they try to give the tape to his parents. He gives their name and address. Somewhere in here, it gets dark, and Aaron tries to sleep, but he is so cold that he can't. Even though the night is long and cold, Aaron keeps his spirits up by telling jokes to the camera and to himself. He is a great person who never really gives up hope. Sunday is written on the screen when the morning comes. He is going through his water pretty quickly. and he doesn't know what to do. Aaron starts to try to use his climbing ropes to make a pulley system to get the boulder off of him, but he tells himself that he would need a lot of gear and that the climbing ropes are too stretchy. He says that the boulder is so heavy that it would take 8 strong men to move it. He sits in his climbing harness so he can sleep, but his situation is very bad. Aaron starts to have flashbacks about things he wishes he hadn't done. The first one is when he ignored his mom's phone call a few days earlier. She leaves him a message, which he hears but ignores because he is busy getting ready. She wants to talk to him, but he won't pick up the phone. In the beginning of the movie, he ignores a call from his sister, which makes him feel bad, so he records an apology to her. He tells them that he'll always be there for them and then stops recording. He also remembers a time when he was in love with an unnamed blonde girl. They had a lot of fun together, but they broke up at a sports game in the past, and she told him that he would always be alone. When Tuesday comes, Aaron's memories start to feel more like hallucinations. He sees a raven flying by every morning, so he starts talking to it. He is almost out of water, and he dreams and hallucinates that a huge storm comes up and floods the whole canyon. The flood moves the boulder, and he climbs out and runs to his old girlfriend's house, where she shuts the door in his face. He wakes up later crying and begging, but it was all just a dream. Aaron is getting more and more desperate, and he realizes that chipping away at the rock has only made it stickier because it is resting on the soft flesh of his arm. He has more hallucinations of his family sitting on a couch in front of him in the canyon. He misses them all but realizes that he has never really let them in. He acts like he's on a talk show and being interviewed in a little skit he does with himself. He jokes that he really should have told someone where he was going, but he hasn't. Now that it's Tuesday, he realizes that if he doesn't show up to work today, his boss will notice. But even if his boss calls the police, Aaron won't be officially listed as missing for another 24 hours, so he starts to lose hope. After he drops his bottle and loses most of his water, he realizes he needs to drink, so he starts to pee in it so he can have something to drink. It smells pretty bad. It's now Wednesday. Aaron carves his name and the dates of his birth and death into the canyon wall. He is getting pretty crazy. He thinks that everything he has done in his life has led him to this boulder, and he thinks that this boulder has been waiting for him since the beginning of time. He thinks about the journey that brought him here and how he has always been a loner who liked being on his own. He thinks back to when he filmed his little sister playing the piano, and it makes him realize that if he dies, he will miss her wedding. Lastly, he has a very clear vision of his future son, who is a little boy sitting on a couch in the canyon. He talks to the boy and can see himself as a good dad who teaches his son. He is aware of what he has to do. Aaron uses the rubber tube that is the camelback straw as a tourniquet. He ties off his arm and tries to cut into his skin with the multi-tool, but all the scraping on the stone has made it so dull that it won't even cut through his skin. He ends up just stabbing himself in the arm until he hits the bone. He realizes that he needs to break the bones first, so he puts a rock between himself and the boulder and uses it to break both arm bones. Even though it sounds very loud and painful, no bones break through the skin. He then uses the small, blunt knife on the multi-tool to cut away all the soft tissue around the break. The camera work is very shaky and jumpy to make the audience feel as scared as Aaron. Blood is everywhere, and Aaron keeps trying to talk himself out of passing out. Aaron needs to cut a few tendons, but his knife is dull, so he has to just pull them out. After about 2 to 3 minutes of video showing him being cut, he stumbles back and is free. He's very thirsty and bleeding, but he ties his arm up in a sort of sling and gets out of the canyon. He has to rappel down a cliff, but when he gets to the bottom, he is so happy to find water that he drinks as much as he can. Even though the water is kind of dirty, he drinks it until he sees a family of 3 and calls out to them with his last bit of strength. They run up to him and give him clean water, which he drinks. Then another family comes, and Aaron isn't always aware of what's going on. He feels a gust of wind and looks up to see a helicopter taking him to the hospital. Scenes go back and forth between the helicopter ride and Aaron swimming in a clear, beautiful pool with 1.5 arms. When he comes to the surface, his family is sitting on the same couch he saw them on in the canyon when he was hallucinating. Then, we see the real Aaron Ralston sitting on a couch with his wife Jessica, and the screen says that his prediction came true. In February 2010, they had their first child, a son named Leo. After this, the screen goes black, and a message pops up saying that Aaron is now working as a motivational speaker, and that he climbs frequently. It also says that he hasn't stopped climbing yet. In addition to this, he continues to advance and always ensures that a message is left for his family, explaining where he has gone and why he has been absent. That's all for now. I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe for more and hit the like button to help me out, and also leave a comment if you want me to explain your favorite film. Until next time, take care.